So my mother says to me, why don't you go on vacation? It's a reasonable inquiry. That's what people do. They go and they have fun. I am aware of the concept. However, when I think about going on vacation, I think about earthquakes. Because what if there's an earthquake while I'm gone? And then if everything is not destroyed, they will loot. And what about terrorist attacks? And I have a dog, so she has never been without me for 9 years. She may get separation anxiety. She will stop eating and she will die. So how can I go on vacation? And my mother says, I know you love your work, but it can't be just that. I do love my work. I don't know if I know how to take a break. And so I start considering it. Right when Congress is having all the bills put through that are going to wipe out my health care. So how can I spend one dime on anything when I'm going to need every cent I have to pay for my health insurance? And I do not have a pension. So that is another reason. And my mother says, Terrie, don't wait. You don't know what's going to happen. Have some fun. My mother, because of her health conditions, can no longer travel. And so when I interview a confident, experienced, affordable pet sitter, I decide. And I listen to the fantasy that I've had for the whole year. I had a hard year the year before. I was in the kind of car accident where the fire, the ambulance, and the police come and they block off the street. And it's the kind of accident where you look hoping that that never happens to you. It did. And as soon as I healed, I broke my shoulder. So it was not a safe, happy, fun year. And all I wanted the whole year while I'm doing physical therapy and trying to heal is, if only I could sip tea served by English people, because it tastes so much better when English people serve English tea, but be sipping it in England. So I decide to face my vacation fear and go to my favorite place in the world. I've wanted to be English my whole life. I'm a huge Anglophile. Mary Poppins, Julie Andrews, Downton Abbey, Dame Judi Dench, the Beatles. I was the only one in my Bluebird troupe that could do an English accent. So here I come. All right, very good. Thank you. And so on the plane, when the turbulence is very bad, I look around to see, is this what destiny looks like? Are me and my fellow travelers, are we going down? Are we going to make it? I don't know what destiny is supposed to look like. The irony that I was watching Heaven Can Wait was missed on me at the moment. Obviously, since I'm telling this story, we landed. Heathrow. I take an English train. I take an English subway. And I found this English travel agent that got me a great deal in central London. I am staying at King's College, a private dormitory. It is 4 a.m. my time. I take a nap. Everything's a little different in England. You know, the power, the switches, the streets. And so I turn on the light in my bathroom and I hear an alarm, loud. And I think, oh, I must have set something off, and it doesn't go away. And then I open my door and I see a woman walking hurriedly, and she says, there's a fire. And so I'm hearing a fire alarm. And I grab my anti-theft protection purse that I had bought for the trip, my iPhone, and I run. And I'm in a little corridor and the door doesn't open. And all I could think of is the story 3 months before when people died in the fire in London because their fire alarms didn't go off. Am I going to die in my favorite place in the world? I find a door that opens. I run down. There are 100 people. We're on the street. And I find out someone was taking a shower that set off the fire alarm from the steam. I call my mother. I am very upset. And she tells me, "You're fine. It was a false alarm." Okay, she's right. But she seemed a little annoyed with how afraid I was. I don't know if I'm a hypochondriac or an NPR listener. But 12 hours later, I'm sitting in a little cafe doing the thing that I have been wanting to do. I'm sipping tea. And I'm looking out. And in my view, I can see the sidewalk where the Beatles ran down the sidewalk at the beginning of Hard Day's Night. Life is good. I am on holiday. Because that's how the English say it. Yes, we're on holiday. There are two men wearing rugby shirts, eating eggs. Oh, this is so good. And so I go see art. I go to the National Theater. I visit friends. I drink tea every single day. And because it is so precious and cherished to me, I document every tea that I have. It is my last day, and I want to see things I hadn't seen before. So I go on this hop-on, hop-off sightseeing bus. I go into the Houses of Parliament. Very impressive. Old, big, parley, to speak up, justice. Although it was always all men. I then go into Westminster Abbey. Art, faith. A boys' choir is singing. Angelic inspiration. And in Westminster Abbey, it's full of dead people, but they make effigies of them, and they all look like they're just relaxing. They're just kind of just reposing, sleep. And so I come out of Westminster Abbey, ready to go on the next site, and I look for my bus. And there are tons of sightseeing buses in London, so you have to memorize the color of yours. And I see one, and it is across the way. And also, if you ever ask directions, in England, they will say everything is across the road or across the way. They apparently do not believe in left and right. So I see my bus, and I'm not sure which way I should be going, this way or that way, but I see it. And so my body starts moving that way, and they don't really have pronounced 90-degree angle curbs, so you're very close to the road. So I take one step, I take another step. And as if I had been rehearsing for this moment for the last 9 months, my hand, bam, slams against a double-decker bus going full speed. Thank you. And my hand is red. My hand is throbbing. And I heard people gasp. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do or what meaning I'm supposed to give this other than this could have been it. And this is the arm attached to the shoulder that broke. And I don't know how it happened. It was as if I had high-fived the double-decker bus and I got it right. And the bus didn't slow down. And I'm shaking. And I keep seeing the bus go by, and I keep seeing the bus go by. And since I had been inundated with history, and I can feel myself slipping into trauma. I can remember when I was 3 years old, and I was on top of a big slide, and I started sliding down, and I got very scared, so I held on for dear life to each side of the slide, and I cried to my mother, "Take me off." I wanted her to save me, and she sat on the bench, and she didn't move. And I knew I wasn't strong enough to get back up. And so I stayed there and I pleaded with her. Gravity has a way of winning. And so I let go. And I slid down crying all the way. And in this moment, as I feel myself slipping into trauma, I decide I will be like the English in the Middle Ages. I will pretend like I am a knave, and every single day is about life and death, and you got to get on with it. You got to go feed the ox. So that's what I told myself. And so I got on the bus, and traffic was at a dead standstill. We were on the bus for 20 minutes, not going anywhere, and I asked the bus driver, and he said, "Oh, a pedestrian just got killed." Yes, I gasped in my head, too. I got off the bus because I knew it was going to take forever to get anywhere, and I walked an hour through Hyde Park, dazed. And a friend had told me, go to Fortnum and Mason. I knew that it was a brand of tea. That's all I knew. And as I exited Hyde Park, it's rush hour. And then I see a man get hit by a truck, and he bounces off. And I start shaking again. And I say out loud, really to no one, call 911, there's been an accident. And I can't look back because I know I'm on the edge. And I'm wandering, looking for Fortnum and Mason. I'm looking for Piccadilly. And I get there, and it's a 4-story building, Beaux-Arts facade. It's plush, it's rich, grand red velvet staircase. And I go up into the tea room. This is the parlor tea room. So it is filled with mothers and children and middle-aged women eating ice cream sundaes. Because it's on the menu. You can order an ice cream sundae tea. The middle-aged women deserve it. And I sit down and I order. I embarrassingly ask if they have any gluten-free scones. They do. And I proceed to have the best tea of my life. It's soothing, it's calm. You cannot be afraid while you're sipping tea. And the scones were unbelievable. And nobody could tell what had just happened to me. And I breathed easy, and it took the trauma away. I had no idea this was going to happen here. But I didn't want to tell anyone. Do we try to find meaning in what happens to us? My yoga teacher told me that the most powerful prayer is thank you. And so I decided, instead of trying to find meaning in what had just happened, that I should have gratitude. We cannot control what happens. All we can do is drink tea. Thank you.